Hey, it's Drybear. And I've got good news and bad news, mostly bad news when it comes to Subnautica 2. We got a brand new gameplay trailer showing off some of the really cool cutscenes in the game and some of the new gameplay, things that we've never seen before. However, this comes with a massive asterisk, as we covered yesterday what happened with the original creators, like the people that started Unknown Worlds. They worked on Subnautica, Subnautica Below Zero, even the new mobile game that they've got going. There's been a serious amount of drama from the publisher that bought Unknown Worlds 4 years ago and the developer Unknown Worlds, and some drama going into Subnautica 2. Now, I'm not going to recap what we talked about yesterday, which is going over the 3 original founders of Unknown Worlds getting ejected from the company forcibly last week. So we covered that yesterday and put a link to that video down below in the comments description. So those original owners, the people that started the company before it was anything, were fired. They were removed from the company right before Subnautica 2 goes into early access. And there's a lot of questions on, like, why would you do this right before? And they also just forced in a new CEO on top of everything. And you've had a wide range of responses to this. People saying, hey, let's boycott Subnautica 2 because there are people that are getting ejected from their own company as the publisher looks to add more greed. There's been a lot of speculation on what went on internally, which we don't have any official reports for. And so there was kind of this question of, like, should we play Subnautica 2? Should we support it? Is this going to be like a Keebler space program kind of situation? Like, what are we expecting to see here? And then a couple days ago, one of the original founders that was ejected from the company came out and put a post out saying that it was not amicable. He was very upset by being fired from his own company by the publisher that he had sold to 4 years ago, and that things were not great. But there were some lower level employees, you know, like Discord mods and things like that, that were saying that Subnautica 2 is perfectly on track. It's gonna release 2025. Everything's working perfectly. Don't worry. The dev team hasn't changed at all. This is just a high level leadership position. However, today, or last night, we got some pretty big news that Krafton, the publisher that had ejected the owners of Subnautica 2, decided to delay the game to 2026. We've been hearing reports from internal devs all over the place that the game is ready, it's ready to go. Based on what they were talking about, it seemed like the game was going to launch in early access in like June, July, like summertime. Like, I would have expected it would have been out by now for early access, but it just hasn't. There's just been this kind of question of, like, what's going on internally, what's happening with the dev team, what's going on. And so Krafton confirms that Subnautica 2 has now officially been delayed to 2026. It will not release this year. So all the reports we had, even the lower level employees saying it's definitely on track, it's gonna release here, don't worry, it's gonna happen, it's definitely not happening. Now, the big juicy part of this drama that has people up in arms right now is a stipulation that was in the original contract. Now, it's hard to actually confirm this externally, right? Because they don't publish their earnings reports. They don't publish any of these. We don't have an idea of how much revenue Unknown Worlds has actually been raking in and how things work. However, if you look at the post from 4 years ago where Krafton acquired Unknown Worlds, there was in the contract a stipulation that said that if they reach an unknown revenue target by the end of 2025, that they would be scheduled to get a $250 million total bonus for employees if they hit that revenue target. It was an incentive program that Krafton had instilled early on for their acquisition. Like, when they did change of control, like when they had the actual publisher come in, they said, hey, here's a great target. If you can hit this revenue target by the end of 2025, we'll give you a $250 million bonus split across your 100 employees and your executives to be able to thank you for working so hard. So a lot of people are speculating, and this is unconfirmed, but a lot of people are speculating that the reason they're delaying Subnautica 2 to 2026 is because, obviously, if Subnautica 2 doesn't launch this year, they would be able to secure a lower revenue amount for the company by the end of 2025, which means that Krafton would not have to bill out the $250 million bonus to the employees, because it would be impossible for them to reach that revenue target without releasing Subnautica 2 this year. Now, yesterday we went over how there was a big upvote post on Reddit for Subnautica 2 saying, don't buy the game, don't wishlist the game, cancel your wish list, Krafton's doing something shifty here. But a lot of people were like, hey, do you have proof of this? kind of skeptical about it. Like, they're just letting the C-suite go. You have lower level employees saying everything's fine, it's going to release in 2025, and the dev team is unaffected. And that post was actually deleted. It got about 9,000 upvotes on Reddit, which is pretty high for Reddit. And people were just wondering, is this true or not? However, since the news broke last night that they were delaying the game to 2026, a brand new post was put up saying, don't buy Subnautica 2. And this one has rocketed up to 34,000 upvotes. People saying like they're being greedy, they're being grubby. And if you jump to their gameplay reveal teaser, which at the end of the teaser they say that Subnautica 2 is coming 2026. So they put out this gameplay trailer right after they announced the game was being delayed, and then a week after they fired the executive suite for the company, and all of the comments are just trashing them. It's hilarious. So you have people that are saying like, give them their money. Why are you holding back on this? Like, why are you doing this to them? Clearly, Subnautica was prophecy in game format because it ended up predicting that an evil corporation would steal money and resources from an unknown world. Funny how that works. And again, I will remind you that the $250 million bonus is internal. We don't know if this is 100% confirmed. We also don't know exactly what their revenue target was, nor do we know what their actual revenue has been up until now from 2021 until midway through 2025 in Q3. So we don't know like how close they were to whatever target that was. Like, it could be that they're like $300 million short, and if they sold Subnautica 2, they would reach that target and they would get that payout bonus, rewarding their employees for the work they've done. All of the comments are like, give the devs their bonus. Delaying and cutting directors to save money is actually something Altara would do, the greedy corporation inside the lore of the game. Everyone's pissed off about Crafton, and everyone's worried about this for the game in general, which is a game that has been beloved and highly anticipated for a very long time. Now, at the making of this video, Subnautica 2 still is the second most wishlisted game on Steam, just behind the game that's never coming out, Silksong. So Subnautica 2 was kind of bouncing between 2 and 3 for a while. It's been 2 for about a week or so, and people have been very excited about it. You can see that Steam has already updated the expected timeline to 2026 for that. This hasn't dropped at the making of this video, though it's only been about 12 hours since they announced the delay and put out their gameplay trailer. But let me know what you think about this in general. Like, this is a really tough spot for a lot of people, and I think this is a reason why a lot of people think that the game itself is kind of doomed, right? There are people that are in the camp of like, I don't really care what happens on the company side. I just want the game to be good. I want it to come out and I want to enjoy it when I buy it and play it for myself. There are people that are worried that like this is just par for the course for the gaming industry. A lot of, companies coming in, and instead of making games by gamers for gamers, they're making games as a product that they can make money off of, right? It's not made by gamers. It's not people who play games. They go to their office in a suit and they have meetings and Zoom calls, and they talk about how they can make the most money off their product, and they go home and they play golf and watch TV or something. They don't actually play games. They're not actually gamers, and so they don't really have any, personal investment in the industry or a game in general. And honestly, all of this is just sad. Hearing that, I didn't even know that Charlie had worked on one of the executives that was removed from the team, had worked on games that I really liked as a kid as well, like Natural Selection. And there was just a lot of, like, I think Subnautica was one of those indie games that just succeeded in spite of itself, right? The fact that Subnautica was such a pivotal moment for gaming. It was one of the most loved survival games in the world and has been since then. And that's why they've been able to create game after game and support the game like IP going into the future. And then there's a lot of people that kind of have the right of it in saying that this is kind of the risk you run when you sell. Like when you go public and you have a public offering, or you sell your company to someone else and there's a change of control and they have, controlling stake of the company. This is the risk you run. You run them like coming in and disrupting what you've created. And I don't know the details of why they sold. Maybe they just wanted a payout, or maybe it seemed like it was going to be a good opportunity for them to be able to create more games and have more funding and support with more marketing and PR. Some people even saying that the game just, obviously they were going to leave Unknown Worlds alone. They're succeeding, so they don't need any help or any guidance. So while Crafton was taking over, it was all amicable at the start, and then towards the end, it wasn't. And I think this just it's just very sad to see a game that felt like it was its own little bubble. It was protected, and it was one of the good ones, right? One of the games that was surviving and succeeding and doing the right thing and making a great game that people enjoy. And also, like, one of the strategies for Subnautica has always been to go into early access and then stay in early access for a year or two with major revamps and reworks based on player feedback, and then launch a 1.0 version after that, after like 2 years or so, to be able to kind of get the game that people want. They did that with Subnautica 1. They did that with Subnautica Below Zero. They did major reworks to Subnautica Below Zero. If you played the first version of Early Access for Below Zero, the game changed drastically. Like, the main characters changed, the story changed, all of the interactions changed. Like, they reworked it based on feedback for that as well. And it seemed like that was the plan for Subnautica 2. They actually planned to have people jump in this summer, like right now, to get into early access for Subnautica 2, give their feedback for the game, and then start working on it with the player base so that they could release a 1.0 in a year or two. And it seemed like the devs, as well as the executives that were ejected from the company, were planning to do that in general. And Krafton was against that. Krafton said, nope, we don't want it to release this year. We don't want it to release in early access. We don't want it to be this, that, or the other thing. So we are going to fire the C-suite at Unknown Worlds because we have the power to do so. And then we're going to take over for the project and delay it to 2026 for reasons that they haven't really posted overall. Now, again, this could be blown out of proportion. It's possible, you know, if we hadn't received that post from Charlie Cleveland saying that, hey, this was not amicable, this is not what we wanted, then we probably would have just kind of chalked it up to, you know, people changing, you know, positions or wanting to move companies or move on to something else, or just random drama and corporate nonsense that goes on with companies of this size, or interaction between parent companies and sister companies and things like that. But there's just a big question of, like, how much of this is actually as bad as we think it is? Are they actually delaying the game to 2026 so they can, you know, save themselves $250 million that had been planned for the employees? And it's possible that they had, you know, billed out the $250 million bonus in 2021, thinking they weren't going to hit it, whatever target that they had listed. And then once they were close to hitting it with Subnautica 2, they're like, wait a minute, we don't really want to pay out $250 million on our bottom line, so let's just delay the game so they can't hit that market, and then we can save ourselves the money in the process. But yeah, all of this is very concerning. It's kind of painful for a game that for the longest time has been indie and protected and sheltered and loved by so many people, and has been, you know, insulated from all the industry nonsense that we get from big companies like EA or Ubisoft, or really just large, overbilled, overstaffed companies that make changes that aren't really player focused. They're not for the player, they're more for the company and for the monetization, to make sure that they're still afloat and they can pay out their bills and keep their war chest high. So let me know what you think about this change and what the details are here. If you were looking forward to Subnautica 2, unfortunately it is now delayed to 2026. You're gonna have to wait a lot longer for that as well. And they don't even have like a timeline. They didn't give us February 2026, March 2026. They just said 2026, soon TM. So that could be December 2026. And so we would have another, you know, 12 to 16 months to wait until we actually get the game out in early access. And who knows what Krafton is going to do next, if these are the kind of changes that they want to implement in their infrastructure in general. So yeah, let me know where your head is at with Subnautica 2 and the recent changes. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people. And don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.